Allied forces, did they ever end up joining up and fighting?
The Vichy French did it.
They did?
Yeah, they joined up with it, yeah. And,
How hard, I mean, was that hard, or, I mean, did anybody hold any grudges against him or anything?
no, because they got put out in front.
You mean you'd put the Vichy French out front and
Yeah,
let them?
they sent them out on patrols. They did. They sent them out in a bad spot. They got to go out first.
Were there a lot of casualties?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of, it saved a lot of our lives too. Yeah, they put them out on front patrol when they were using them. They took them from there and took them right up to Africa. And they went willingly. They was
Who was the German commander over there in
Rommel.
That was Rommel's forces?
Yeah, Rommel. Mm-hmm.
What did you think, I mean, when you went in North Africa and you knew it was Rommel's forces there, I mean, was he really a feared
Well,
general?
I don't know where we were at. He was at one time, but that didn't last long. But you know, the British is the one that really, we had his troops, but the British stopped him out there in the desert. But we had Rommel's troops where we were at, Kasserine Pass. I don't know if I got books on it here. The Germans laid a trap. They pulled way back, and then came back around, and the mountains come back in like this behind us. And there was a lot of casualties. And then Patton came in, and boy, he straightened things up. That never happened again.
Kasserine Pass was in North Africa?
In North Africa, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were a lot of that was a bad event.
That was a bad deal. It was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a bad. Our troops were green, but they got educated fast. All of us did. We all got educated real fast. You know,
How old were you when you enlisted?
19. I was going to go in when I was 18, but I stayed on the apple orchard another year. I always told my dad when I became 18, I was getting off the orchard. He had 500 acres of them, and I hated the orchard. So he kind of laughed. You know, what are you going to do? Apple's all you know. Well, I've been talking to the Army recruiter for quite a while. So I waited till the harvest was over, and I took my papers and went up one evening, and I said, "This is what I'm going to do. You have to sign them." He said, "What if I don't?" I said, "I'm not staying here. I'll go someplace. I'm not staying here. I'm leaving." So I signed the papers. At Fort Lawton, Seattle, I was sworn in. And I was off on my big excursion. I'd never been out of the state of Washington before. And that ended. And when I got down to San Francisco, man, well, I told you about walking into the tavern and asking for a chocolate milkshake. That's how green I was. And the fellow said, "You're new here." The bartender, "Yeah, we got here. But you want a chocolate milkshake?" "Yes, I do." "Well," he said, "we only serve beer." He said, "You have a beer if you want to." I said, "I don't like beer." "You got to go next door to get the chocolate milkshake." But, you know, it was a different world, altogether different. The food was good. We ate good. Had good cooks.
Where did you do your basic training?
Right there on Presidio.
How long was it? I mean,
4 weeks. That's all they gave us then, 4 weeks. No, that's all we had. And after I was in there, well, it's last November, I had appendicitis attack, so they sent me down took me down to Letterman General Hospital, and they put me in bed, and remember the major came in and said, "We're going to operate on you." Well, that about scared me to death, operate, and take your appendix out. So I took my appendix out. There was 2 of us that night. They took their appendix out, but they gave me a spinal shot, and so felt pretty good. And I can remember the ward boy. He brought us each in a cup of tea, and I can still remember that cup of tea, how well it tasted. And I didn't really like tea, but it tasted good. And he said, "Now you guys better quiet down and go to sleep, because in a couple of hours you aren't going to feel too good." They kept me in bed 7 days before they'd let you out of bed back then. And then I was in the hospital for 6 weeks before they let me out. And then I went back up to my company, and I was on light duty for 6 months. And I was still getting $21 a month. I hadn't been in there long to even draw $30 a month yet. And when I went in, well, in the meantime, my dad had wrote to my company commander, and so he asked me, he said, "Why'd you join the Army?" I said, "To get off the apple or to get away from my dad." Well, he wrote me a letter. He wanted the company commander to send part of my pay back home so he put it away out of $21 a month. So anyway, he said, "You're going to be our company truck driver." And that's what it was. And every morning I had to walk down Christie Field. I was in C Company first before I transferred into Service Company. And I'd walk down to Christie Field, and maybe I'd get a dispatcher and sit down there and read. And 11:30 I'd walk back up a half mile for my lunch. 1 o'clock I was back down there, and 4:30 I was done. Because I was a company truck driver, I had no KPs, no guard duty or anything. And I made PFC before my 4 months was up. And the company commander said, "You're going to get some static. We've got guys been in here 2 or 3 years that hadn't made PFC yet. But that's radiant calls to the company truck driver, and besides, you deserve it." I don't know why I figured I deserved it for joining the Army. And when I got my PFC rating, I posted on the bulletin board, I got the static. Then look at, and the way they say, "Yeah, you old brown nose, you." Yeah, you bet. I got the stripe, but they really ripped me about it. And Captain Nichols he really did show me some favoritism. He was pretty good. He'd call me in and ask me different things, And every time I'd go to the order, Duncan reports to Captain Easter Day was his name. Captain Easter Day. There he goes, brown nosing again.
That chocolate shake story is great. What are some funny stories over there about, not funny, but just kind of insights into how 18, 19-year-olds are green over, even though they're in a situation like Africa?
About when, in Africa or back?
Africa.
Africa. We weren't 18, 19-year-olds very long. We were men. And it was altogether different world for us. That's something we never had seen people laying alongside the road dead. And as we got farther and further fighting with that, the odor is terrible. It's terrible. Well, they picked up our boys, but they didn't pick up the others. They left them there for quite a while before they picked them up. And a lot of civilians were killed. But right to this day, I can remember that odor. It was terrible. But you grew up real fast. After that first night, I think that I probably aged several years. All of us did.
Quite a first day.
Pardon?
Quite a first day.
Well, it's like they take you here now. Have you been in service? You haven't been in any war. Take you and throw you out there in the front lines, and where the fighting was going, people were getting killed. Something you've never seen before. And there was no TV to see that stuff on then. But it just changed your life, completely changed your life. And when you've never shot anything other than a deer or a bear, here all of a sudden you're killing people. It makes you grow up. That first night, I think I was actually in shock that first night. But I was so scared. I was that scared. I didn't. Then I thought, and after Nick had been killed that day, we're never going to make it home. This is going to be it. And so I am a firm believer now, after all the things that's happened, Scotty Haygood was killed right close to me. You're not going to go until it's your time, and it just wasn't my time. There's a lot of them, well, I suppose about 50 of our people were killed over there. George Snar, who only lived about 150 miles from you.
Is that right?
Pardon?
He lived 150 miles from Kansas?
Yeah, from Kansas City.
From Kansas City?
Montgomery City.
Okay.
And he farmed there. George got hurt real bad. We had a Harley Davidson motorcycle. I never would ride with him, but George rode him. And one night, he was on some kind of patrol, I don't know what it was, and he hit a big shell hole. And boy, it damn near tore his leg off. And he came home. But it's just things that, with Nick early in that morning, and then he was gone. He wasn't there anymore. And it just really changes your life real fast. I still, sometimes she has to come in and wake me up at night. Still have dreams. And more than once she's come in and tell about you having to wake me up at night in my dreams.
Yeah, I made coffee. Anybody want any? I didn't want to interrupt
But
you.
it's just, it's a different world. And I think I see the 3rd Division over there now, you know, and they want to come home, but we did too, but there was no rotation. You stayed till it was over.
What about all this stuff you got here?
I'm going to show that to them pretty quick. But I've got books here that tells every man that was in the war from the 3rd Division, and every man that was killed or wounded is marked in that book.
Is Nick in there?
And Nick's in there. Yeah. And I got another little book to show you. Christmas dinner, Presidio, San Francisco, 1941. Nick was still a private, but his name's there too.
Is that right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's. I have some tapes that I'll let you have, part of the war. And I don't know if you've got any of them or not, but about the 3rd Division. And I'll send those home with you, because I've seen all of them, and I'll send them home with you.
We could probably wrap this up, but how do you think the family, how would you like the family to remember your buddy Nick?
Be proud of him. He was a neat, okay guy. And I couldn't say that about all of them. But Nick was one that he was straight-laced. He'd go out and party some, you know, have a few drinks. Guy never seen Nick or he had more than he could handle. But he was just a good guy. And when you remember, I know some of the others I remember especially. 61 years later, you know, it's a good impression. Because in 2 days, it'll be 61 years ago that Nick was killed. So he was, and I think, if I remember, I'd mentioned Lalitha several times about Nick was the first one that was killed on the beach. And when I read that in the paper, that magazine, I hollered, I said, hey, somebody looking for somebody that knew Nick. I said, it's his uncle. And I called you right then.
I think you called me twice.
Yeah, I did. I want to make sure I got the right one. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Excellent. What do you do in 2 days? How do you remember?
Oh, when George Snar was alive, I'd call him. Well, I called him all the time anyway. But boy, early in the morning on November 8th, I'd always call him. Remember today? Boy, I sure do. And John Thacker, he was in Florida, and I'd call John. But John was on 24-hour oxygen, was in a wheelchair, and then he passed away. Been just about a year ago now. And George died 2 years ago. So when John died, that just left me. And why I've had 2 heart surgeries, I've had 3 back surgeries. Had a knee surgery. And then I'm going in December, be operated on here. One of them's clogging up. So I go in and get rebuilt and go again. 82 years old now. And her and I used to talk, well, hope we live to see the year 2000. Well, here it is, still going.
Still going.
Still going.
Carl, I've got a son whose name is Nick.
Television in Kansas City, and it's sweeps week. My boss won't let me on. Actually, he's not going to let anybody off at the station to do that. But really excited that you're getting an opportunity to see me, and hopefully someday I'll get a chance to meet you. My grandpa Gus, as my dad tells me, used to call me the Nick way back when, which I thought was pretty cool. So really interested in hearing some of the stories that you have about my great uncle Nick, and was just wondering if you thought I perhaps might have looked like him. I've heard stories that, well, he was handsome, but half as good looking as him, I'd be all right. So anyway, just a real short message. Hi, I'm sure you guys are having a good time and have a long, good talk, and look forward to hopefully meeting you someday.
That's nice.
I promised him I'd show that to you.
Well, I hope he can get out here. Has he worked there in Kansas City?
He works in Kansas City, yeah. He's
What's this, Carl?
The album?
Yeah.
That album is 63 years old. When I went overseas, I sent it home to my folks, and when I got back from overseas, they sent it back to me. And I have the signature of a whole lot of the men that was in our company, and you can turn the pages there. Now, all these signatures, men that you see, have all passed away. There's none of them left anymore, except myself. Alan Flesher was in a picture that was Nick, and his signature's in there. I don't have Nick's signature in there, but I have the signatures of a lot of the guys that from overseas. And that album, I've had it for 63 years now. I've taken some of the pictures out of it, of different people, and have sent the pictures to them. A lot of pictures, and up the street, the lady went up to Bridgeport, Washington. Her husband died, and this guy's wife died, and they knew each other. And she got up to Bridgeport, Washington, and she got to asking around if people knew me. Well, they did when we was kids, and kind of thing going for people that I grew up with when I was a kid. And I took those pictures out and I sent them back up to the families, so they would have them. Sent 21 pictures up,
yeah.
And because something happens to me, nobody know who it was, and I sent them all back up there to them, and they really appreciated it.
This looks like a postcard that says Africa on it.
Mm-hmm, it is. That was from over in. Yeah, that picture was taken from Morocco. There's some other pictures in there too of it, of different scenes from there. And
Looks like somebody said.
yeah, that was sent to me. It had to be before I went overseas.
Says, let's hear from you, buddy.
I think June Gregg from Salem, Oregon sent that to me. And there's some other, I can't remember where the building on the right side is.
You showed us. Well, here's another card you got.
Yeah, that was from my mother. And that had been sent to me probably in 1941, something like that. There's the picture that appeared in the paper back home after I shot the plane down.
Carl Duncan, Downs German plane in Sicily campaign.
Yeah, that picture's pretty old.
Let me see that again, Don.
Sure.
That headline. You haven't changed much, Carl.
Put a little weight on it.
He's being pretty nice to you, isn't he?
It's only right that you go into the transportation business, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, oh, I don't know who that one's from, but
Well, this is a Valentine for you, son. This is from Mother.
mother, yeah.
Yeah.
And my mother's been gone. She died in 1970, but that was sent to me in the, in the 40s, early 40s.
Here's a picture, Carl. At the top it says Camp Pickett, Virginia.
Virginia.
And then Howard
Shanks.
Shanks.
And Howard's dead too. He's
Is
gone.
he?
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second. Now let me see that.
Would he have been a guy who would have hung around with you? This one up on top says taken in Africa 1943. And then this one says taken in Africa 1943. They look like castles, Carl.
Yeah, they were castles, but they shortly there was a counterattack, and they were left in ruins.
Were they?
Yeah.
Let me see that bottom one there. Okay. Okay.
Here's one that says Camp Pickett, Virginia, J.I. Griffin.
Oh, yeah, Julius Griffin. Yeah.
He'd be
That victory email, they called it. And then they'd go in, and I don't know how they done it, but all letters went through this photograph, and they came home on a little film. Then when they got back to the States, they produced the letter again.
Now, how come they did it that way?
Because of the freight, you know, for all the mail that has to be. They could have one little baggage and have thousands of letters, or in other words, they'd have the big bags of mail to come back, and that's the way they done it.
So they'd reduce the weight.
I went 9 months without getting any pay.
Why is that?
Well, they were moving so much that they couldn't catch up with us.
Oh, wow.
And so then when I got back finally wound up in the hospital in Vancouver, Washington, I told the captain I wanted to see the commanding officer of the hospital. They said, what for? And I said, well, I haven't been paid for 9 months. I'd like to talk. This patient's fund. I'm not going to take that back to the hospital with you. They said somebody might steal it.
This says Northwest troops lead Anzio fight. Is this,
That's our patch. That's our outfit, the 3rd Division, the 30th Infantry.
German assault stopped cold at Anzio?
This picture, this girl standing there,
What's that? What's that in?
that's when Victory in Europe, VE Day.
Says here, it's the San Francisco Examiner for Tuesday, May 8, 1945, the 5-cent Sunday edition. It says today, VE Day, the war ended on Sunday.
Yeah, the Sunday paper only cost 5 cents then.
Think of that.
Okay.
That was there in Oran. No, that was Salerno.
Yeah.
Flatten that out for me, Don. There you go.
Says 1943, Yanks ducked for cover after a bomb burst when they hit the beach at Salerno in 1943, but they stayed on the job and finished it.
Okay.
What's this?
That's a 10-cent lira. That's Italian money.
Oh.
I brought that back from overseas when I came back.
And then this patch is,
That was Army Ground Forces. After I came back from overseas, I went back to Fort Ord, and I taught 3 one-hour classes a day on the 30 caliber machine gun. And that was the patch. We had to move our 3rd Division patch. That's clear back in the 40s.
and these, what kind of trucks are these? Looks like
That-
they're hauling
We hauled gasoline.
gasoline.
Yeah. Mhm.